Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 271. We had a recent update, which was very, very interesting for a lot of people. We got a global friends list finally to the Battle.net. And of course, the first thing that people ask is hey, does this mean we'll get cross region gameplay as well at some point? Uh, Really interesting because there's some more updates to that relating to Overwatch as well, which we'll get into. Another really interesting piece of information to mention here is that Diablo 2 Resurrected has an official date. So, before we get into anything though, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia, and I'm a full time streamer on Twitch, playing lots of World of Warcraft. And I can see Brightpaw in my periphery, moving about with my lovely co host, Perculia. And I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk, site director of Wowhead, joined by Brightpaw, who's a bit feisty today. And yeah, lots of interesting industry news, not just related to World of Warcraft, but we got Diablo, we got cross-region friends list. We even have some Final Fantasy subscriber number claims that we want to discuss as well. And of course, 9-1 remains a mystery, and there's new TBC merch, so pretty well-rounded show. So yeah,
Pretty well
let's
rounded
jump right into
indeed.
it.
Yeah, it sounds great. So, the cross region friends list.
Yeah. So this was Blizzard made a statement last week, and they announced that global cross-region friends list was coming. And everyone was really excited because they viewed it as a stepping stone to maybe some of the cross-region features people have really wanted in WoW for a while.
Indeed.
But this is just your Battle.net friends list, and the announcement talked about groups, but that is not in-game groups. That is just you can make like group chats with your friends cross-region.
Mm-hmm.
They did announce though that crossplay in Overwatch is now in the beta. So other
And
games
that's
like
cool.
stuff.
Yeah. That gives
Yes.
us hope to see potential cross region play in World of Warcraft. I mean, it's probably a lot bigger of a process because not only do you have to figure out the logistics of having players across different regions playing with each other, talk to each other server wise, but also it's a question of progress. What does this mean on a progress level? Because right now, if I log into my NA account, I don't have any achievements. I barely have any mounts. I barely have anything. And if we're gonna then merge, what's gonna potentially happen then is merging, right? My EU account with my NA account, and that means that it might be quite a process to make that happen. It's not only the possibility of being able to group, but it's also merging of what the accounts consist of. So I think it's not an easy thing to just switch on, unfortunately, but I do still think that this could be a step towards that.
Yeah, and there are still things like, global release schedules or raid
Mm-hmm.
lockouts. Certainly if everyone is in the same region, that could get rid of some of those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, people are excited that this is at least a step in the right direction, and especially how Overwatch is getting the cross-region play, that maybe one day this could come to WoW. I am
Indeed.
surprised though that it was sort of what is going on, Brightpaw? Um,
So cuddly today.
I know. It's like my sweater is catnip.
Yeah.
Um, I I am surprised why they didn't announce this at like E3 or something else, because there's a lot of
It
events
came kind
going
of
on this
suddenly,
week.
actually. Yeah.
And yeah, and I felt like people noticed this when it came as a shop update, like, oh, update your app now, new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the official post was made 24 hours later. So I kind of feel like that's sort of, Blizzard style. People notice things on their own, like kind of the theme of 2021. And the official channel publishes it later on. So I think that, maybe this could have been, I don't know, it would have been nice to hear a roadmap more about what's planned for BattleNet. I mean, it could just be that they don't have more plans for WoW, and this was just a sense of, oh, like Discord and Slack, are places where people talk to their friends. We need to do this to, feature parity, catch up with other, chat programs out there that people use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they always do seem like a few steps behind. Maybe it's a resource thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to do too much, being like a chat service as well as a like news launcher shop deal. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they're gonna, replace Discord or Slack, but I think that having this tech sorted out is very good, and it gives me hope that they are implementing this with Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe more games.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel like the fact that they bothered to make this is in itself a little bit of hope towards something like that being possible in the future. It's always nice to have things updated to be more smooth and just to feel better, to feel a sort of essence of things working. Um, when I was on my NA account, I noticed immediately that it was really nice because I could see whispers suddenly from my EU friends list in the game, and
Hmm.
I I feel like that's such a small but quite a meaningful change. Okay,
Yeah,
I think I just had a very
I heard
rough
that.
wind hit my window.
I
I
thought a
could feel
cat
it.
was throwing something.
I don't think it was a cat. It felt heavier. I think it was just the wind
Okay,
and the window. But yeah, sorry, that just scared me for a second. I was
no
like, wait,
worries.
what's going on? Um, but yeah, I think it's great with a global cross region friends list, and I look forward to seeing what else that we will see to do with that.
Yeah. So this
Yep,
next
yep.
topic
Mm hmm.
is an interesting one. We didn't cover it in Wowhead news because it wasn't exactly Wow news. But I thought it was worth discussing, especially because you've been playing more of the game, Annie.
Mm hmm.
There was this article circulating around from MMO Population that Final Fantasy had surpassed WoW in subscribers, and we can look at the data, but to me the data claims seemed a little bit um not really backed up in reality. The site
No,
does not seem super reliable. But there's a good conversation to be had as to
exactly.
why people are viewing Final Fantasy more positively. Community is welcoming, things are on an upswing, while WoW is sort of struggling with the working from home patch cycle model. So
Mm hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the tweet, Annie, or not, but you've
Mm
been
hmm.
playing a lot recently, so
Yeah, I feel like they have taken this opportunity to stand out as World of Warcraft is in a bit of a content drought. And a lot of people are looking at, playing other games in the meantime. Some people feel like they're quitting WoW. They're tired of Shadowlands, never coming back. We all know that most people do come back when there's a new patch. But it is also the case, of course, that there's always a fall off after the first patch of an expansion. People come for the expansion and then they judge whether they want to come back or not later on. And with this timing of the Final Fantasy Fan Fest, which was very, very successful, the introduction of their new expansion, which is coming soon, is also really exciting and perfect timing for Final Fantasy because World of Warcraft has had their first expansion nearing a year, right? And
mm,
in just a few months, Final Fantasy is getting a new expansion. So we're talking about a game which has had a too long extended expansion of nothing much happening to a game being pretty hype right now because there's an expansion just around the corner. And so I think those factors coming in has made a difference. The FanFest in general was very successful, very emotional too. I'm not sure if
yeah.
I'm not
You
sure
you
if
can
you
tell them,
watched
but
it.
I know what to say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. You go ahead.
No, I mean I have friends that play, and they were like linking me the clips of the developers, doing
Yeah.
like the musical number with the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the really emotional reveal, knowing that was it the composer, he was battling cancer when working on the game. And that
Mm-hmm.
was like a
And
really
keeping it
emotional
secret from
reveal.
everyone, not telling anyone, but
Yeah.
continued working. And I think all of those things, the emotional humanity that's very clear through the screen, through listening, has made a lot of people kind of interested in what's going on because a lot of people feel that they miss that, right? Like when many people talk about Blizzard today, they're like, oh, Activision, you know, and then
Mm.
they see these developers from Final Fantasy having these very touching stories, and it feels like finding humanity again. So I think that has also attracted a lot of interest. And now this tweet that was out is not accurate. I do not think there's a website basically which has put together using some kind of API of sources that they counted together to make an estimate number of current subscribers. And the current subscribers for Final Fantasy is the number one on the list. I don't think this is accurate for many reasons.
Mm.
I think Final Fantasy does have hype right now, but I think even just looking at the list, you see that World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft Classic is separate, and that's not true either. They are the exact same subscription. How can they be separated? They're both based on the same sub. So it's a little bit of take it with a pinch of salt, but it's still interesting that it is popular enough to create a conversation like this, and it has made a lot of people wonder, like, okay, well, what kind of game is this? You know, maybe I want to try it. What's actually going on? Also, Final Fantasy has a it has the advantage of being the new thing for many people. A lot of people coming from World of Warcraft are trying out the game with a very big trial in
Mm.
essence. The trial is free up to level 60, whereas in WoW it's up to 20, and that's a pretty big selling point. I think that's also the reason why a lot of people have given it a chance now, because well, it's free to play until this level, and that means I can play while I've canceled my WoW sub because I don't want to pay a subscription right now. So might as well try this game. Like you're not going to try WoW to level 20. There's not much you can do until then, especially if it's a game that you've been playing for years anyways. So they do have that going for them as well. A lot of people giving it a chance because of this extensive trial, and a lot of content creators as well are talking about Final Fantasy. So that's also bringing popularity. Like we had, I think I saw a video from Bellular talking about it.
Yeah,
I
his team got pretty hooked on it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I've seen other content creators, even more unexpected ones like Asmongold, talking about it too, wanting to try the game, and it's causing a lot of buzz. And I think that's also what's sparking a lot of interest in at least testing out the game or checking it out through streams, for example.
Yeah, I also think just a quick side note, then I'll go back to why I'm thinking it's appealing. Looking at the Wowhead numbers for active users, and I think the Warcraft Logs creator also chimed in that MMO population site, their estimates for WoW are like really different from what we're seeing to our sites for the game. So, I know that some people might not be subscribed to WoW, but still use Wowhead, but it's not like, over 50% of people are browsing Wowhead for fun. And certainly Warcraft logs, I mean, you aren't using the site if you're not playing the game. So, if the Warcraft logs creator is like, oh, our site traffic goes retail WoW, classic WoW, then Final Fantasy, I believe that's
Oh,
an
have they
honest
made that claim as well?
um, yeah, what the Warcraft logs creator
Mm,
was responding to someone in a thread talking about the numbers they
gotcha.
were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And like the numbers of like, oh, there's like 1 million or like, 2 million on retail, 1 million on classic. Like that does not line up with Wowhead numbers as well with our monthly users. So and
Mm,
even at the bottom they're like, oh, these numbers are also based on like user sentiment. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, you
Yeah.
can't make up subscriber numbers based on how many people tweet about a game.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's
what it sounded like
yeah,
basically. Like they're counting mentions in Reddit or something, which is not
yeah,
accurate at all. Like,
no,
sure, like Final
yeah.
Fantasy is creating a lot of buzz right now, but it doesn't mean that people are actively playing either. It's simply a popular topic right now, and I think rightfully so, and perfect timing for anyone who is bored of WoW. But I do think that these claims are not accurate, and what you're saying now makes me believe it even more.
Yeah, I also think that WoW, the designers are trying to move towards like a seasonal mindset, where you come back for, like the mythic season, the season, PvP season.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have taken a break from WoW. Um and there's also a more competitive mindset with things like classic and TBC. So, maybe it's like a cyclical thing where the player base is competitive. They care about rankings. So, like, Blizzard does more stuff to go into that direction, like more of the esports direction, more of the, optimize your performance, race to world first. Um, but it seems like Final Fantasy is maybe where people can just, like, chill and do like fun customizations, or mog, or can like
Mm-hmm.
really like lose themselves in a story. So they're trying to appeal to two different types of players, and I feel like a lot of old school WoW players are like, hey, why can't I collect more armor sets? Why can't I do this fun grind? Like, why is everything, time gated or RNG? I want player housing. I just want to, I don't want to wait, have this story be, teased out to me in little bits and have to read like all these other things to understand what's going on. So I think that some old school WoW players, and at least a lot of my friends actually have moved from WoW to Final Fantasy, because they like those elements in that Final Fantasy seems to cater more than modern WoW.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Perk's audio is indeed a little bit out of sync. I'm gonna see if I can
Hmm.
fix it. I'm gonna let you guys
Okay.
look at Brightpaw, and then I'm gonna quickly change the server for the call to see if that helps.
Weird.
Or maybe you
Yeah.
can. Are you able to change the server?
Sure. What do you want me to change it to?
Anything. U.S. South, Mid, East.
Okay. I changed it to Central, so it's still a little farther away from me. Is this better? Test.
Mm, okay, say something again.
Test test.
Perfect. Yes, we are back. We are back. Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to interrupt her, but you guys were right that the audio was a little bit out of sync. It happens sometimes with Discord, but it should be good now.
Cool. Yeah. Hopefully what I said was still
Yeah,
understandable.
it was 100%
Uh
clear. It was just out of sync with the video. That's it. Um,
yeah, no worries.
to add on to what you said, I think there is one really interesting thing about Final Fantasy, which makes it very different from WoW, and which can I can see how that is attractive for a lot of players in WoW, especially more casual players. Um, so in Final Fantasy, uh, you are able to get add-ons, but most people play without. And if you do get an add-on, for example, that shows damage meters, if you in any way refer to your add-on uh, in the game, you can get banned because
Interesting. Yeah.
the idea is that you're not allowed to use these kind of add-ons that can cause like toxicity. So if you are using an add-on to check damage and then you see that somebody's doing bad damage and you tell them, then you can get banned. So it's not like the usage of add-ons. You can technically use them, but it's sometimes a bit frowned upon. And if you use the information from your add-on to then complain to somebody, then that can ban you, or that can get you banned.
Yeah. That's really different culture from WoW,
It really
where
is.
it's like everyone needs their whole suite of add-ons and weak auras and like custom packages and like all this prep that goes into rating a Mythic Plus that isn't just playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see why an alt or a casual player would prefer this approach, and then that also means that a Final Fantasy isn't developing their game around players requiring all these advanced add-ons.
No,
While with
exactly.
WoW, it's like they expect people to have add-ons, so they have to keep doing more and more challenging things to keep up with it, so things are engaging in spite of the add-ons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure how it looks like in the like end game content. Since I haven't been there yet myself,
Right.
and I haven't watched a lot of it either. But I do see that the culture is indeed looking like that because I would ask casually as I'm streaming, like, "Hey guys, I want to see how much damage I'm doing. I want to know if I'm doing good. Like, maybe I should get an add-on." And people are like, "Oh, no," and I was like, "Wait." Why? And apparently, it's a whole different type of mentality around it, and it's really interesting that it's so different. You like people
Yeah, I
are a lot
mean,
more competitive in WoW.
yeah, I mean, I think that positivity isn't necessarily always a healthy thing. Like, if WoW is maybe too like toxic, negative, maybe Final Fantasy could be too toxic positive. But I do think that right now it occupies like the healthy positive space where people can just go and like be casual and chill. Um, and obviously you don't want people being like, oh, you can never critique the game, you must always sound happy or else. Like, I think that's not healthy, but
No.
it just seems that people have a lot of respect for the developers and seem genuinely excited about things, and it just caters more to like an old school MMO philosophy, and people seem to really like things like customization, cosmetics, and the storytelling. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would be interesting to see how Blizzard reacts to that, especially when Blizzard's at a time where they're like, oh, we're done with customization in after
Mm-hmm.
Shadowlands launch, or like we keep discussing with Sylvanas, it's like they've sort of hidden this character, like she's so convoluted that people are gonna feel let down when they finally like reveal the mystery. Like, at this point, she's not a character; it's just like a mystery to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see why Final Fantasy would be appealing to people that just maybe miss like WoW from an earlier time,
Yeah,
as
where
well as
most
the
of the
community
focus
surrounding
is.
it.
Yeah, where most of the focus is just exploring and experiencing the game. And I've noticed as well that people are very welcoming in that game,
Mm,
in general, to new people. They have there's a word for it. The people are sprouts when they're new, and
yeah.
the general reception for people who are new is positive, and that's also really nice to see. And also, you were talking about customization, so. In WoW, a lot of people have add-ons for UI customization, and
Hmm.
in Final Fantasy, it's kind of not really needed because there's so much you can customize just by default. Like there's options
Right.
in your layout that you can move pretty much anything, pretty much anywhere, and you can scale the different sizes of things, and you can add, your bars wherever you want them to be with your abilities, keybinds, and all that stuff. So I do because that part of it I think is really important to me, being able to move where things are and being able to bind freely. That's why one of the early add-ons that I used in WoW was Bartender. I
Mm.
can't play without Bartender. I think the Blizzard art at the bottom takes away too much space. So I like it a bit more minimalistic in that sense. And you can actually change how your bars look natively in the game, which is nice. So I haven't felt the need to have an add-on, but I do feel a bit naked not having a damage meter. I want to know, even if it's for myself, which apparently is allowed. I mean, like you are allowed to have a damage meter
Right.
as an add-on. It's just a
Yeah, I
bit
mean,
not
obviously,
meant to be in the
Warcraft
culture of
logs
it.
exist for Final Fantasy too, so you
Yeah.
can, look at your performance there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens once 9.1 hits, if this has staying power, or if WoW is, really going in this, seasonal mode, very competitive, cutting edge, if people will like, check out WoW for like a month or so and then flip-flop between the games.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they'll be like, I can just chill in Final Fantasy and I don't need a billion, add-ons and
Yeah.
guides, or worried about being kicked in this new mega dungeon. Like, this seems scary. Maybe they'll just pick one. But I do think that this situation, Blizzard marketing should be aware of it and think about what they can do to react to it, or just, look at player feedback. We always see those surveys being leaked where they ask people questions, and it's like, well, this is another type of feedback. If people are saying, we like this other game for the following reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely negatives and positives on both things. And this is the great thing about competition. This is the really
Yeah.
good thing about more MMORPGs out there being successful, because the better other MMORPGs are, the more your favorite MMORPG has to be. The more your favorite RPG has to improve. So if you're into Final Fantasy, it's good for you that World of Warcraft exists, because then they constantly have to, improve themselves. And same with people who prefer World of Warcraft. It's good that Final Fantasy is doing well, because that means that there's going to be more pressure on Blizzard doing better. So it's like a healthy little life cycle of making sure that the MMORPGs are improving themselves over time.
Yeah, I was reading that interview where when they were working on Final Fantasy, they were uh the developers were like actively playing Cataclysm and Mop. Like, they were told to play those games for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's interesting, because people look back at that time, you know, more fondly in WoW. And I also think that if multiple MMOs do well, that's good for the genre overall,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the bean counters, deciding what to invest in. Like, if WoW was always killing all the other MMOs that came out, they'd launch their product alongside another MMO, and then, like, no one would swap to the other MMO and build a community. That's just not good for the genre overall. Like, it felt kind of outdated, dwindling player base. But if multiple MMOs are doing well, then they're more in fashion, taken seriously, not just like a weird dying out boomer thing. um
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's good, that if multiple MMOs can exist,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not just like, oh well, WoW's a relic, and when it dies off, the MMO genre is dead.
Yeah,
So I think
exactly.
that overall it's positive to get people more interested in the concept of MMOs again.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it also puts more pressure on the new MMORPGs that are trying to um, get into the business in the near future. Like we had New World, Ashes of Creation, all of
Hmm.
these being mentioned. Um, and the better the MMORPGs that they have to compete with that already exist, the better they have to be on their releases.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, if one studio can do things quickly during a pandemic, then people might wonder, like, what are they doing
True.
that we're not? Like, could we learn something about workflow? Are they hiring
Yep.
more people? Do
Mm-hmm.
they pay more? Do they have their team structured differently?
Very true.
And maybe there's something to learn from that too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So speaking of a Blizzard product that is actually coming out, that doesn't seem to be super late in development, and maybe something that's positive for Blizzard, showing lessons learned from some of their past issues. We learned over the weekend that Diablo 2 Resurrected releases on September 23rd, with the pre-order beta in August.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool. Hype has been really great for the game.
I'm looking
People
forward to
have
it.
been really happy with the beta, with everything. Like, it seems to be a pretty faithful remaster.
Yep.
Um,
The beta was
no
so
one
smooth.
seems upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at this as like the Diablo version of Warcraft 3 Reforged, uh, you can see that Blizzard
Yeah.
has learned a lot from Reforged and is trying not to repeat those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, the game isn't delayed. It seems to have a really fast turnaround. The Vicarious Visions, the company they merged in with them to work on this product, had a great track record and seems to be doing a good job, you know, getting this game out on time, unlike some of the struggles maybe with different teams. With Reforged, there's no talk about, scrapping features that people liked or promising cinematics and then doing like a bait and
Yep.
switch, removing them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a positive experience. So maybe this is like a sign of hope for Blizzard that um, they are trying to turn things around that didn't work out.
Yep.
Um,
And I'm still amazed at how nice and smooth the so for people who don't know, basically in the remastered version, you press a button and it changes it from the
mm,
remastered version to the old version,
yeah.
and it happens like just immediately. And it was so smooth and well made. I didn't expect it to work like that. I thought if anything, they would make it two separate game modes. Like this is the old one, this is the new one. But yeah, no, it's you just switch it mid combat even to change it to the old version, and I think that's a really neat feature to just have because it's I don't know, it's like nice and probably nostalgic for people to be able to jump in and out of
Yeah.
it. Like, wait, I don't remember how this part looked like in the past, and then you click it and it's like, oh yeah, this was how it looked like. I think I like the new version, or maybe you prefer the old version. Who knows? I think it was well put together.
Something else that was interesting in the follow-up interview that was conducted at Summer Game Fest was in this Blizzard interview, they said that working from home development during the pandemic was very productive due to Blizzard's great infrastructure, but also challenging, especially for console testing. And that's interesting because I mean, they are saying it's challenging for testing one area, but overall, things were productive. And with Shadowlands, we're hearing more and more that working from home is really challenging. Now, I don't think that means that the Shadowlands team is like bad, but it seems that certain types of development lend themselves better to working from home than other types of development, like, maybe, retouching things, graphics, we have this clear game, like here is a clear end goal, modernize it. That maybe works better working from home and is even more efficient than things like, build a new system like Shards of Domination or borrowed power or stuff like that.
Yeah, and testing it.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll see more games like this if this kind of seems like a pandemic success story compared to other products. And I do think that Blizzard will have to think about people remote work, people working from all over now that, that Pandora's box has been opened with the pandemic and people are like, well, I can work from anywhere and I was equally as productive working from home and oh, it was actually cheaper and I like
Mm-hmm.
setting my own hours. So I do wonder if we're going to see more things in this style from Blizzard since this seemed to work out really well for them in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so with that, we should discuss some retail stuff. Not a ton going on with Burning Crusade, but there were a few interesting data mine details. As usual, we have no release date.
Yep.
And there was a very interesting event that was data mined. Comp Stomp, everyone's favorite brawl. The event was data mined to appear on August 10th uh, in the 9.1 data. So one could surmise from that 9.1 has to be live by August 10th if that's when Blizzard is scheduling that out. So
Yeah.
I know everyone was joking like of course it's going to be out by August, but it's just good to have a general sense of okay, yeah, like it's not going to be some horribly late release. It is going to be out by mid-August, and I would argue, even sooner because to me, you drop the new Brawl when you're bulk of content is over. So it's like, oh, and here's one more thing to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I still think that even if some of the tuning is rough, that Blizzard probably wants to get like a early July, late June-ish release for the patch. Um, but yeah, it's good to know that even though we don't have a date, this August 10th thing means that we don't have, some horrific September release.
Yeah, so it's gonna be either a very, very early August release or a July release. And I think we estimated it to be early July before. Do we still think it's gonna be end of June, early July?
It's, they always give 2 weeks notice when something ends, and it's the 14th right now. So if they do that 2 weeks, we are, at the end of June right now as we speak.
Oh, wait, that
So
would have to
the
be latest announced tomorrow then, right?
yeah. So the window of time where they can announce something is like rapidly dwindling for a
Yeah,
late June announcement.
you're right. If we don't get a date by tomorrow, that means we're not getting a 29th release.
Yeah. And I know we spoke before about like the vacations and people going out, and normally a vacation is a time where they assume people are going to stay at home, but the 4th of July is it's like a big American tradition where people go out and watch fireworks and do barbecue. And I feel like even if you are super introverted, if you've been inside with quarantine, you're going to want to go out and have that big holiday with your family. It's sort of like
Is it normally
things are
one
back to
day?
normal. Uh yeah, it's Independence Day, but it's always like a long weekend. So in the past, I think Blizzard would want to release something right before it and assume people will like no life the weekend and just play a game
Mm.
with their spare time. But now um I feel like just the branding I see everywhere is like, celebrate being back to normal, like
Mm-hmm.
go see your family for the first time, go barbecue, weddings are being planned, like that
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it might make more sense to release it right after
So like the
then
6th maybe? Or is that too
yeah.
soon?
I mean, I feel like the patch, it's like it's the PTR is dragged on for a while, but it also feels like too soon just with how stuff like keeps shifting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would think early July would make more sense. And I also think I mean, I know this isn't going to factor into what Activision wants, but I feel with how the Shadowlands team had to basically work through American Thanksgiving, and then there was more content around Christmas. That it would also, kind of not be great if they had to stay glued to their monitors for bugs on this other holiday.
That's actually true too. It's not just the players, it's also the workers who would then have to
Yeah.
potentially work a bit extra. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think that early July would make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer it to be released when it was more polished,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess we'll see very soon. Maybe next week's show we will have a date.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, 24 hours, Blizzard. You have 24 hours to announce a 29th release. Otherwise, I guess we're going for the earliest, July 6th.
Yeah. So we also have some cutscenes we wanted to share
Mm-hmm.
as the other bit of PTR news.
Mm-hmm.
We should put a spoiler tag up,
Oh,
even though it's still very like inconclusive,
yeah.
but it's Anduin, so we should.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler tag is up that direction. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some cutscenes to show you guys, and yes, there's implications even if the cutscenes are not that detailed. They're missing a lot of things. Let me
Yeah.
open them.
So this first one, for context, we data mined a compass model that looked like the one Varian had in Legion with Anduin. And the data mining implies that you're going to click on the compass and it's going to reveal this cutscene where Thrall, Jaina, and Bolvar are watching a memory of Anduin and Sylvanas talking. and it's called Anduin's Goodbye. So, of course, people at first thought, like, oh, Anduin dies, but he doesn't seem to die. This is in the past, and we could wonder who's he saying goodbye to? Is he
Yeah.
saying goodbye to his old way of life? Is he knowingly agreeing with Sylvanas' like three-dimensional plan? And
Mm-hmm. So
is
you're saying goodbye to us?
yeah. So yeah, we can play this. It's very memey. But people wanted to see it. So here you go.
Just 1 sec, as I accidentally closed it. Give me a second.
No worries.
Mm.
There's a lot of like memes like, oh, this is my face. This is my face when my girlfriend is angry with me, staring.
Here we go. The first video up here, right? Anduin's goodbye cutscene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I accidentally deleted it, so I'm gonna have to just recapture it. Okay.
No worries.
All right.
Should I keep talking? You're good.
No, I'm good now. Playing it.
The Force
All
Tyrande
5
wields threatens to
paragons are
consume
needed
her.
for our Covenant sigil to be
This grown
reforged.
devastated.
Upon
My
this
queen,
day,
we need your
we
help.
shall name a new paragon of law.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I played some random noises in the background. They were not part of the video.
Oh.
It should be good now.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that sound.
No worries.
Now there's no sound? Yeah. And that's why it's a work in progress. Yeah. This is the sound.
So that's why they're just like, Anduin is dramatically staring at Sylvanas.
Yeah. This is the whole cutscene that's available right now.
Yeah, and actually the first Datamine version had Sylvanas as a cube. Like a black,
really?
Like a blue and white checkered cube. So we're just like, what is this? Like, it was very unclear what was going on, and then Stefan's like, oh, I figured it out, magic. This is actually meant to be Sylvanas here. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, no one really knows what is going on with this, but maybe this could hint that Sylvanas reveals something, like maybe she's trying to double cross the jailer and is like explaining something secretly to Anduin, or maybe she's like forcing him to go and he's like giving his final word. Or it could be some super old conversation they had. But I guess we'll learn more leading up to the raid. And keep in mind that the book on Sylvanas will also be covering Anduin, so maybe this conversation will be replayed in the book and make more sense there. But yeah, clearly Blizzard, maybe there's a lot of discussion of like, where's Anduin in the patch? Like, we haven't seen Anduin, so maybe they like leaked it a little to remind people that Anduin's in the patch, but purposely held the dialogue so there wouldn't be spoilers.
Yeah, gave us more questions than answers. I find it extra funny that they're not even, like, their lips aren't even moving, so it's like,
you can't read
are
them.
they even say anything?
And it's like, no, they're just staring at each other.
Yeah, they're just staring. It's a staring context. Context? Contest. Contest, yes. Yeah, so that's how it looked like. It wasn't meant to have any sound.
Yeah. It's just like if you have a cutscene that says Anduin's goodbye and Sylvanas is in it, that you're gonna have people, like, oh my god, Anduin, he's going away.
And the cutscene is called Anduin's Goodbye, which is what's making us wonder, what could that mean? What is he saying goodbye to?
Yeah. So, like, is he going willingly? Or is he just being defiant to Sylvanas? I guess we will find out soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they all look pretty sad in the background, so they don't really seem happy by what is being said. Um, but yeah, who knows? I mean, music and dialogue can really change a scene a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also had a number of incidental cutscenes from the 9-1 Covenant campaign, and we wanted to highlight a few of these that were more interesting than the others. The first is surrounding a topic we've mentioned before, which is, Tyrande is nearly consumed by the Night Warrior magic, and Elune intervenes, and
Yep.
we then learn in quest text that Elune is apparently the Winter Queen's sister. So we actually get to see this cutscene, but it almost feels like something is still missing from it. Do we want to play it? It's pretty short.
Mm-hmm. Let's play it. Here we go.
The force Tyrande wields threatens to consume her, and will leave this grove devastated. My queen, we need your help.
My sister's power in my forest. I will have answers.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, so that's it. There's no Elune.
Mm-hmm.
There's no moment of salvation. It's purposely kept hidden.
Yep. And maybe that's a good thing because we do want to keep some mystery and everything. But yeah, you do wonder, was that just everything for now?
Yeah, I wonder if Turan's story isn't really over because with everything she's gone through, if this was the, pinnacle, I think it would have been interesting to see her at peace or, see Elune helping her after all the hardships she's been through.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this means that her story isn't over, and maybe they're saving Elune for a grander moment than a
That's
cutscene, because
also
we've
true.
discussed
Mm-hmm.
how cutscenes can be great if your character is involved with them, but if you want like a big epic moment, like Sargeras stabbing the universe,
Then you need a cinematic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we're getting with Tyrande. Because we haven't actually seen Elune in game. I know a lot of people think that in Darnassus, the figure in the temple was Elune, but that's not the case. That was a disciple of
Mm-hmm.
Elune. So,
When was the
uh,
last time Tyrande was a part of a cinematic?
she had the pre-patch duel with Nathanos.
Oh yeah, true.
But yeah, she hasn't had many.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that was still a
she
decent
could,
one, but yeah, I do think she needs a little bit more screen time considering
yeah.
Tildrassil and everything.
Yeah, like I feel like if that cinematic added on a somber note where, you know, she doesn't seem satisfied, and she's just walking off after the duel, not really happy, I think it would be good to see her more at peace, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe we'll get that in a bigger character moment. But like I said, I thought it was interesting how the scene faded before we actually see her be
Mm-hmm.
saved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do think it's a little bit of a cop out to put that Elune is the Winter Queen's sister in the quest text. Um,
Yeah.
there, because that is a big reveal, and
Mm-hmm.
some of the Azeroth books, they also try to tease that, like, oh, they're is she related to Aenar? It's they're purposely trying to be ambiguous, and I feel like maybe this is, if you're gonna make a clear statement, maybe this is not the time to have, if you have the cinematic, maybe it should be more obvious. I do know that there is another cutscene we didn't find yet, which is where we take the tier of Elune left behind and we bring it to Ysera. So maybe that
Oh,
is
it says it's supposed to be a cutscene.
yeah, there's meant to be another one where Ysera
Mm.
meets the tier, so maybe maybe there was like a clear moment of reconciliation there, making her story go full circle. But yeah, obviously the cutscene will be better when you have, music. But I just
Yeah.
thought the point at which it faded to black was interesting, like
Mhm.
before it was getting good.
Mhm.
Um, and the quest is also talking about how, like, what was it like, communicating with Elune? Why was she saying that, the souls would serve a greater purpose? Um, and I guess they want to keep that a mystery for now. I don't know, maybe a 10-0 reveal. But yeah, it definitely seemed deliberate that they didn't want to dramatize that for now.
Mhm. And I'm okay if
So
Elune is staying more of a mystery for a bit longer in terms of like actual being. Um,
yeah, it'd be
and
cool to reveal it like BlizzCon or something.
yeah, and if not a BlizzCon, at least some kind of big cinematic for the new patch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels that Sylvanas' story is wrapping up either way. I mean, I assume after this big book on her,
Yeah.
a lot of the mysteries will be revealed. At least I'd hope
Mhm.
so if you're reading, a gigantic book.
Mhm.
So then that also leads to the question of, in addition to the Night Elves, were the Forsaken left, with their leader, now unmasked, with the jailer, who's had all these different reincarnations. So there's a story to tell there as well of the Forsaken rebuilding once we're done with Shadowlands, so they could revisit the story of those two races.
Mhm.
Plus, we never got heritage armor for either race. So we
Oh,
need heritage
yeah.
armor.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So,
We never got that.
but
We
yeah,
have one
so
more Covenant
go ahead.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead and introduce it.
This is a wrap up of the Kyrian quest line, and I think it's we wanted to show it because a lot of people thought Bastion was pretty, but they were a little weirded out by how like cult like the Kyrian were. So I think that this is a pretty satisfying ending because it shows that they are changing their ways, and having a new beginning that seems more balanced. And they also mention Devos in this.
Mhm. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
All 5 paragons are needed for our Covenant sigil to be reforged. Upon this day, we shall name a new paragon of loyalty.
My Archon, loyalty bereft of compassion fractured the very heart of the Kyrian. Perhaps what we need is not loyalty, but devotion to our cause, to each other.
And to the souls we usher into the Shadowlands.
When Devos turned against us, I met her with spear in hand. There was truth in her words, but I did not listen. Let us learn from Uther's example. Henceforth, all Kyrian shall be offered a choice: to keep their memories, or to let them go. Adrestes, I anoint you paragon of devotion. And Clea, you shall serve as his hand.
Me? Forgive me, my Archon, but
Your devotion to our sacred charge has never faltered. None are more deserving of this honor than you.
Thank you, my Archon. We go in service.
Yeah. Very satisfying indeed. I think ever since the
Yeah.
first time that we learned about the Kyrians, I was like, I'm not happy about this. Ever since the cinematic with Devos, I was like, I like Devos. Why are we fighting him? Why are we defeating, not him, it's a her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why are we defeating her in a dungeon when she has such an interesting point to make? And now, quite a while afterwards, we are suddenly given this option as a Kyrian to then decide if you want to let go of your memories or if you want to keep them.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how we've come full circle. There
Mm-hmm.
are replacement characters taking her position, but now the title has changed. So it's not loyalty, but devotion.
Yep.
And while I still wish there was more for Devos, like you seem to be a very interesting character that was sort of just,
Yep.
I don't know, thrown by the wayside. I do think it was interesting how they finally realized, hey, like she had good points, like we should have listened. Like they are actually admitting blame on their own for a change instead of saying that they're beyond reproach, they're just following the rules. So I think that it's nice to see how that covenant has some growth,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially because Revendreth seems to be they're each covenant, when you think about it, they have like this dark sinister side that they don't
Yeah.
fully examine as much. So it's refreshing that the Kyrians are doing some self-reflection and realizing that they have some issues and that they can change, and it doesn't require something so drastic as the jailer being like, and now we're gonna like reshape the universe in order to change. It's like, well, maybe
Yeah.
we don't need to break the cycle. Maybe we just need to, improve the cycle.
Mm-hmm. Do
But
you
yeah, I
think
do
this
think
was
that
the
Devos could have a lot more
for sure?
development.
I'm still sad
So
that she's gone. Do you think it was planned from the beginning that the whole story was going to turn out like this? That the Kyrians will be given the option to? Um, because it feels really sad that everything is going full circle, but with Devos not there, it doesn't feel as satisfying.
so I have it's interesting because um several of the Shadowlands cinematics set up characters that weren't around later on. So the Bastion one had Devos, the Ardenweald one had I'm blanking on his name, but he dies as well. The main character who's tending the grove. Um,
Yeah,
Maldraxxus has like all the house leaders are dying at the start. The poor guy on the loading screen, and even Sire Athreus wasn't meant to be around beyond the first patch.
so we're just
So
meant to have a lot of characters gone.
yeah, which seems odd because those cinematic shorts were really good, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes you emotionally connect with the characters. And I think that's something that WoW really needs. Like they rely so much on the old characters, like continually bringing back, Thrall or Sylvanas, Jaina. But we don't have as much of a connection to new characters, and the ones we sort of form a connection with, like Yrel, are then made to be evil in the quest line. So
Yeah.
I think that Blizzard could have taken the opportunity to introduce characters that we relate to more over the course of Shadowlands, and I think that Devos could have been interesting, and her story could have worked if she was still alive as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe she is the leader of the Forsworn that is now, advocating for them to
Yep.
return and keep their memories. Or there's like a Forsworn paragon. There's I think that she could have still been alive. And I thought it was weird how
Definitely.
with Uther was like, oh, I did the wrong thing. Like she misled me. I don't know her. But it's like, no, she had a point, and I think it would have been interesting to actually see them interact in game more after the realizations. So kind of feels like a missed opportunity there. She did look
Mm-hmm.
really cool, and
Because they even had
you know,
her in a cinematic, so I feel very surprised. I'd love to hear someone over at Blizzard explain what the thought process was, because it does feel kind of strange to have a character like that that makes a very, very good point, in a big introductory cinematic, and then have them die in a dungeon, and then
For
later,
most people, in the story, because like
yeah,
all they saw was a cinematic at Gamescom being like, "Oh, she's badass," and it's like, "Oh,
yeah, and then,
you're
oh
just
no,
killing her?"
you didn't realize you killed her in that dungeon that you did the other day. It's like, oh, I did, you know, for if you imagine from like a casual perspective,
Right.
and it feels very like anticlimactic to have it happen like that, especially now when they have even come to realize that hey, maybe it's not that bad of a bad of an idea to keep your memories. So it feels a little bit off. So I'd love to hear what the thoughts are behind that. If they were maybe not planning to kill her, but that it kind of just happened. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's also like if someone, I mean, I guess if you're like, oh, I want to pick up Shadowlands, like, I like the cinematic, it's cool, and you're like, where's that character? Oh, I'm killing her. I'm so confused. Like, it sort of feeds into the idea that you need to read all the supplemental material to understand WoW lore. You can't just, dive into it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be really confused if I was someone that, saw the cinematic and then killed Devos.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true.
So,
But yeah, and I think that was actually
yeah.
it for the spoiler tags.
Yep, that's about it.
That's about it. So anyone who doesn't want spoilers, welcome back. Non-spoiler section has now started. With not too much to say actually. We've covered most of the news of the last week. Not much has happened since 9-1 is still a little bit of a mystery. But we do have some TBC merch to show you guys. Oh,
yeah, so I
lagging
don't
again.
have any on hand, but we can show the pictures on the screen of it, or just even the article, if you're cool with that.
Showing it
So
off.
Blizzard is doing their monthly From the Vault program where they highlight, new merchandise related to like a gamer character, and they have their merch drop surprise on Burning Crusade Classic. I know the logo is like very divided. Not everyone likes the old school logo, and not all of the merch has it, so good news. For 30 days, you can get a cool Dark Portal concept art illustration. And they also released a really cool looking collector's edition pin of the Dark Portal in a nice box, so if you like pins, that seems, pretty classy and just neat to wear in general. There's also the fine art print of the three characters, as well as a big jigsaw puzzle, which is fun as well. And it seems like I know there was like 2 versions of the art floating around, and I think the art is it the more detailed one? Let me just check on this quickly, because let's see. Wow,
Here's the jigsaw puzzle.
Art.
Looks pretty nice, actually.
Like,
I like it.
I thought it was weird how there was like the artist did one version of the key art, and then Blizzard was like, oh, like we're gonna use the like other version of the key art. Oh, so it looks like the art used in, I can't tell now. But yeah, it looks like the art used in the key on the one you can buy is the high-res version. So if you look at things like Vash's bow, it looks a lot more polished than the one they were showing at BlizzCon Line. And that always bugged me because I was like, why does she look unfinished? She has like a level 1 bow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
An example of a t-shirt
Yeti
as
World of
well.
Warcraft. Yeah. The microphone for World of Warcraft, which I have. Right paw. They have more voices with Burning Crusade characters if you want to modify your voice. And then there's a bunch of other merchandise like Dark Portal shirts. These are not my favorite, but you can get the logo on slippers or hoodies. To me, it's a little basic, especially for the price, but hey, maybe, you do you. Maybe you want bathroom shower.
All
slippers
5
that they
paragons are
wanted.
needed for our
Hey,
covenant
I've heard
sigil to be
slippers. Oh,
reforged.
wait, I'm accidentally playing.
Upon the
That was a mistake. Here, here, the slippers. Yes, I've heard slippers are very fashionable with socks in certain countries. So wearing
Yeah.
full-on slippers and then putting on the socks apparently is a thing. So there you go. Now you can do that with Burning Crusade ones.
Yep.
Yeah, the video was playing in the background. My bad. It should be fixed
So-
now and not accidentally play anymore.
But yeah, I think my favorite out of the merchandise is definitely the collector's edition pin. That looks pretty fun. So
Oh, let me
Yeah.
show it in a bigger size, actually. I don't think I showed that one. Here it is. Collector's Edition pin, the Dark Portal. I really like it too.
yeah.
It's
so
cute.
I feel like they could have done more with the merchandise, but you don't know if like pandemic, vendor times affect things. But I definitely feel like I miss like some of the women's cuts or some of the plushies, and yeah, I wish there was more merch that was less like logo, but the pin and the artwork is it is a good start. Those pieces are cool.
Indeed. I don't mind it. I think the t-shirt looks quite nice too. The one with not the logo.
Yeah, I think that's an old Jinx one that they brought back. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I like
okay.
that one as well.
That explains.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
we're
is
about
it.
wrapped up. World bosses and arena seasons start tomorrow in TBC.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Come on, Brightpaw. I'm gonna just pick him up to see if he wants to say goodbye, but he's resistant.
Oh,
I don't know if you can hear him. But yeah, I think
I'm really
that's
excited
about
to see
it.
how
Maybe
that pans out.
yeah. So hopefully we'll have a release date to discuss next week. Maybe we'll have a Anduin cinematic where he's talking instead of just staring at Solanas.
And maybe no longer a staring contest.
Yeah.
Before we head off though, let me quickly also thank the subs for today. We got Master Sora who subbed with a 10-month resub. Thank you very much, Master Sora. Alina Marina with a 9-month resub. Thank you as well. And Makian with a 22-month resub. Yeah, that's almost 2 years.
Wow.
Thank you very, very much for supporting the channel, supporting Wowhead, and shout out to all of you guys out there who might be listening right now on the Wowhead website as well. Thank you for anyone who is using the subscription feature on the Wowhead site. I think it's called, is it Wowhead Premium?
Yep, Wowhead Premium.
A Wowhead Premium subscription to support Wowhead further also gives you a few perks here and there on the site that you can make use of, and also removes all ads on the site, so that's always nice. And yeah, we do these shows every week on Twitch if you want to tune in, and we do keep track of chat in case there are questions asked. We try to answer them, and yeah, afterwards these all end up on YouTube. So if you do watch the show but maybe missed some parts of it, or if you missed it entirely, you can always tune in on YouTube to catch up with everything that's been talked about. We try to keep these shows weekly to cover, all the different news in between the shows happening. On the Twitch site, we also have a little system with nether shards. So by just watching, by just being in the chat, not doing anything, you earn nether shards that you can also redeem into actual physical things like the Wowhead rocket plushie, for example. So yeah, and you can also gamble it all away if you want to, or gamble it and win everything if you prefer that. Yeah, that's the one. You can get one of those for free by just watching the stream.
As fast asleep, I'm poking his head with the
Aww.
plushie, and he's just like
Little bright paw. Yeah. And yeah, 2 people just gambled all their points and lost it all.
Oh.
This is why you don't gamble. This is why you don't gamble. Yeah, and that's it from us. Is it time for a high five, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Okay, you go for the countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we did it. Very, very safe games online, doing high fives from camera to camera. You know, when you're sitting in your Zoom calls or Discord calls, this is exactly what you can do.
Yeah.
That's it from us this week, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we will be back next week. Hopefully with a date for 9/1, and hopefully with good news from the first season in TBC as well.
Yeah. See you then. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.